All right, guys, this is a demonstration of how to complete the Manifest Destiny Sensory Figures assignment. You're going to go to Pages and you're going to create a document. So you would tap on the icon that has the orange plus there that says Create Document. If I were you, I would do a blank landscape design. I've already started one, so I'm going to open the one that I started. That way you can see what I've done, and then I'll add to it to show you how to complete it. I used blank landscape for this one. I found an image of an American pioneer woman. That's what I decided to use. You can use any image of any American for your American perspective. You want to have a title. I have American Pioneers Perspective of Manifest Destiny. You are required to have two figures, an American on one hand, and then on the other hand, you need either a Mexican or a Native American. And you could do that on a separate page like I've done here. I've got it set up for my Native American. So make sure you do both. So this is what I have so far for my American Pioneer. Remember, you are labeling all 5 senses, so make sure you do all 5. I have 2 of the senses labeled here. One is her sense of sight, and the other one is her sense of touch. As you can see, I put these call outs, and the one says, I see the Pacific Ocean as I fulfill my destiny to settle in Oregon. And the other one says, I hold on to my hat, which shields me from the sun. Now remember, to get full credit for these captions, you need your caption to clearly reference the person's perspective on Manifest Destiny. So let's take a minute to read over these captions. You can press pause if you need to, and really think about which one of these tells us how she feels about Manifest Destiny and which one doesn't. If you said that her sense of sight does show her perspective, you are correct. That is the correct answer. So you would get full credit for that caption. But her sense of touch, it only says she's holding on to a hat that shields her from the sun. That really doesn't tell me anything about how she feels about Manifest Destiny. So to get full credit for that one, we would want to add something more. All right? Once you come up with your list, if you want me or Mr. Rhodes or Mrs. Benazza or Mr. Daly to look it over to make sure that it's good, we would be happy to do that. We do want to rename this, so I'm just going to hold my finger up on the title until that pops up, and I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to call it Manifest Destiny. That would be great. All right. So I am going to continue this process that I've already begun so that I have all 5 of her senses labeled. Now, let me show you how to do that. I'm going to come down here and do a Native American demonstration. You need a picture. Now, you can draw a person if you want to. That would be awesome if any of you are willing to do some artwork. I would love to see it. Really, I would. But if you are not the greatest artist, or maybe you just don't have time, you can find an image on Google. So let's go over to Google. I've already pulled one up that I like. I like this image here of this Native American. For my search, I just typed Native American 1830, or you could type in Mexican 1830, because that's basically around the time period that we're looking for here. I'm going with this Native American, and I'm going to hold my finger on the image until this menu pops up, and I'm going to add it to my photos. Now he is in my Photos app. And when I go back to my pages, I can add his picture. I'm going to hit the plus sign. And photos and, media is already selected over there on the right. Photo or video is the first option. And now my photos pop up, and he's the last one that I added. So there he is. And now I can adjust this however I see fit. I'm going to just make sure that it fits here. Yeah. All right. Pretty good. I could probably make him a little bit bigger. And then I like to center things up. There, he's centered now. Okay. Now I need to label his senses. So I'm going to add the plus again. And this time I'm going to pick an object. And I'm going to pick one of these call outs. All right. And I'm going to move it to where I want it. I think I'll put it here. And then you can drag these points to point directly at what you want to label. You can change the thickness and all of that. You can actually change the color of that too. We've done that before at the beginning of the year. I'm going to double tap on this to add text. And I'm going to say, I can feel the bow that I will use to defend my land from the American, oh geez, settlers. Great. So that seems like a pretty good label. And that's all I need to do. If you want to make it fancy and change the colors and everything, you would just tap on that and hit the paintbrush, because the paintbrush is always what you do to edit things, to change the style or the color or the arrangement or any of those fancy things. So you can get as fancy as you want, but let's make sure we have all the basics down before we start getting fancy about it, okay? I want to make sure you get it done on time. So you're going to do that for all 5 senses, and that should do it. All right, you're going to have 2 pages, again, one for an American and the other one for either a Native American or a Mexican. You want to make sure they're accurate, because you'll lose points if it's a picture from, you know, the wrong century or something like that. You just want to make sure it's accurate. And if you're not sure about a picture, you can always ask me about it before you finalize it. Once you have all 5 senses labeled for both characters, then, and you have your title, you know, Manifest Destiny or whatever you want to call it, then you're ready to submit. And to submit this, I am asking that you hit the 3 dots at the top and export it as a PDF. And then up here, you will choose Schoology and submit it to the assignment that I have, which I will tell you about and show you on Schoology to make sure you know where it is. But it'll come up as an option. So please submit it this way. I hope that is all you need to know. It's all I can think of that you would need to know at this point, but obviously you can always message me if you have a question.